So for today, we have development dynamics and Lightup impact. Lightup impact is a movement of over 100 grassroots leaders across East Africa, and they advocate for quality in health, gender, and offer opportunities to those grassroots organizations. They do this by fostering unity and collaboration to transform the lives of vulnerable communities. They actually do offer spaces, resources, and visibility, just like today, for these organizations and the change makers to be able to connect them with funders, INGOs, and other potential partners. About DD, Development Dynamics is a Pan-African, Afrocentric organization that has a think tank, a do tank, and a through tank. Please reach out to any of us from Development Dynamics to be able to tell you what those 3 tanks actually do. But in short, we do collaborate with investors, investees, intermediaries to be able to reframe, reimagine, and resolve these complex challenges that we face at the intersection of some of these issues. And also we are very keen when it comes to development, philanthropic, and social impact ecosystem. So we convene such platforms like last Thursday's to ensure that the voices from the ground shape the future of the development policy, practices, and partnerships. So what is Last Thursday? Some of you guys are here for the first time. So Last Thursday is a product of development dynamics. In this space, we offer an interactive space where development actors from funders, policymakers, implementers, researchers, innovators, and change makers come together to spotlight new ideas, share lessons, and showcase innovations and foster collaborations. So today, we shall continue with that tradition that we've had for a long time, and we are going to spotlight the youth innovators at the intersection of gender and climate justice. Maybe before I move on to actually introducing the youth that will be speaking today, I just want to make sure that everybody is comfortable where they are. I want you to lean in. I can see the numbers are increasing. We are up to 30 now. We're expecting a lot more. Please reach out to your friends and ask them to join in. So the youth of today, initially we had planned for 3 youth, one from Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, but one of them had a personal emergency and will not be able to make it. But we have 2 lovely ladies that will be joining us today. The first one is Bridget. Oh, before I introduce Bridget, I want to introduce Brenda, who is going to be the moderator of all these sessions that will be taking part today. Brenda is the founder of advisory board member at advisory board member at Lightup Impact. He's also a team lead at My Body, a youth-led organization advancing sexual reproductive health. So she'll be the one handling all the youth, because most of the youth, those 2 youth are actually from Lightup Impact. She's more aware of them than I am. So the next person will be, the first youth will be Brenda. So Brenda Kigambo. She's a very visionary leader, as you'll see from all the things that she's been doing. She's a CEO of Green Shiro Limited, which I guess is Heroes, the feminine of heroes. She pioneers innovative waste to wealth solutions in Uganda. Moving on. The second youth innovator that will be making her presentation today will be Karen Munyaya. Karen Munyaya works in Makueni, or in Eastern Province, as it was called before. She's the executive director of Jumuisha Initiative Community Organization and a climate governance specialist. She's, as I said, based in Makueni, and she has over 7 years experience. Jumuisha is one of the cluster members supported by Firelight Foundation in the, as we like acronyms, CDSC4, yes, 4YRB cluster. Yes, we'll have to find out what that means during her presentation. Next. We'll also be joined, as if that was not enough, once the youth have actually made their presentation, we'll go into a plenary session where I'm hoping that everybody from the plenary will be able to ask questions and offer additional advice to those two innovators. But on top of that, we shall also have these three very accomplished ladies. We have Tabitha Nyambura, who is from the National Gender Equality Commission. We have Judy Manene, who's from CREW. And finally, we have Imali Ngusale, who's from Africa Center for Health, Climate, and Gender Justice. After that, we shall move into a discussion, a Q&A, and I'm hoping, again, these panelists will be able to offer additional advice and information to the two innovators. We shall have a Q&A following this, which everybody will be welcome to contribute. And then finally, we shall invite Valeria for the call to action. So without any further ado, let me bring on Brenda to be our moderator for the rest of the sessions. Brenda, take it away.
Thank you very much, Victor, and thank you everyone for joining. My name is Brenda. As you have been told, I'll be moderating today's session. Welcome all of you. It's a pre-conference towards our main conference, which will be happening in October, and we are welcoming everybody. So it's going to be a very interactive session. As you're aware, it's youth-centered. I'm energetic, and I also believe our panelists, who are young people, they're going to display the same. So I'll be welcoming our first young person from Uganda, that is Bridget Kigambo, to pitch her innovative ideas. Welcome, Bridget Kigambo. Bridget, if you are speaking, kindly unmute your microphone. Is Bridget in the call? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Brenda. We are hoping that
give a second.
is okay. She is on the call. I can see her here.
Okay. Bridget, if you can hear me, kindly speak up. Okay, we will go to our next panelist as we give her time to prepare and also to check on her microphone, and if it's internet, she can fix it. So let's welcome Karen Munyae to pitch her innovative ideas. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that opportunity. So my name is Karen Munyai. I work with Jumuisha Initiative. I am the executive director. We work in Makueni County. We are a whole cluster that's sponsored by Firelight Foundation that we call in the CDC 4IRB cluster. That is a combination of 7 organizations that are working in Kajiado, Machakos, and Makueni County. And I am so sure they have joined on this call because we as a cluster, we work together and support. And this conversation is all about us, the 7 of us. And it's not just about Jumuisha Initiative. I'm representing the team. And so maybe we go to my presentation, which is about what we are doing as Jumuisha and also as the YRB cluster. And so we are located in 3 counties, that's Makueni, Machakos, and Kajiado County. and we are a team of 8 organizations. There's Firelight Foundation, Jumuisha ourselves, Itise Rural Development, YSD Machakos, Jiwakilishe community-based organization, Oldonyo Orok Youth Group, Malki Initiative, and Nareto Latia community-based organization. We are spread across these 3 locations, counties, Makueni, Machakos, and Makueni County. And so what is CDSC for IRB? This is a community-driven systems change approach for youth resiliency and belonging. It's an approach that we use for implementation, which is one, community-driven. We believe that communities have a say in development, and it is not always fair to bring in projects that are not. Roy, please mute. We always believe that we need to bring people on board when it comes to planning and implementation, and that means we as youth need to be on the table when decisions are being made, and that involves from planning, from design, from everybody has a role in designing programs, in designing development, in designing the change that they need to see. And so CDSC for IRB really recognizes the existing systems. How have communities been living? How have people been handling issues before? They do recognize that what we call the indigenous knowledge is very key in planning. And so we don't leave that out. How our parents used to operate, how our parents used to believe change would come is very key in planning, even in our day, in our current day and time. And so we do believe, yes, that change comes over time, but it is also key we recognize that how things used to run it's not any different. We have a lot of changes with times and mix and such, but how people used to work even kitambo is still valid up to date. And so we do recognize that is very key, and we would want to also tap that information, that ancient information, in planning for current programs. And that's how this approach, those are some of the things that this approach really takes into account, that change really comes over time, and the existing systems are still key in planning and in development generally. Next slide. And so what we have done for gender and climate resilience is simply recognize the strengths and capability of each person. Like in a community, we do understand that they are the older people. They have knowledge, they have capabilities, they have skills, they have information that is key in planning. But if we need to see that change even at this time, then we also need to recognize that that information is there. That strength, that capability is there. And so even when we are planning for youth development, we really want to have each of these people on the table when it comes to planning and design, so that we don't leave out any ancient information. We don't call it ancient. We don't call it old information, but it is still key. How they used to do that thing, then it would be relevant even at this time and age, you know. We do not really sympathize with situations, because sympathy is not what do I say? Sympathy can never bring development, because sympathy will always keep the ship sinking. Ship sinking, sorry. But empathy brings out more of a person's capability. It brings out more of it recognizes that there is a lot of empathy, recognizes that there is a lot of strength, and there is a lot of, what I call it, capability out of a person. in this program, or in gender and climate resilience planning, we do believe that co-designing with the key population is key, is mandatory, is essential, is very what do I call it? It's key. Why? Because we will never understand what youth need unless we have them on the table. We will never understand what is relevant for a certain population in Kajiado, for example, unless we sit in with them and understand what they really, really need as change, or how they perceive change, for example. We can never understand what a population, youth in Machakos want, unless we sit with them and understand what they really need. We might never understand what youth in Makueni need unless we sit in with them and get to co-design with them. Because unless we have these key populations on the table when co-designing or when planning, we can never really understand what they really mean. And so in gender and climate resilience, we do believe that if we sit with the key population, for this case, which is youth, we will really design or co-design a program that is very effective for them. And so that alone gives us the leeway to just design programs that are effective, programs that are addressing the real issues or the real needs, and programs that are bringing some sort of change or effective change within a community. We allow systems strengthening through capacity building of partners. And this will bring us what we call the change that we desire. Because if you look at a system like, if you look at a system like a community that is living in a rural setup, for example, in Makueni, a place called Kitisa, for example, the community in Kitisa would really want, maybe water is an issue for them, but the community in Machakos might not really need water, for example, because it's more urban, if I may say, setup. And maybe the systems within Machakos are way more advanced than Kitisa in Makueni. And so the capacity building that we anticipate or we give to the community in Kitisa will be quite different from one that we give for a community that is in Machakos. So we allow systems strengthening through building capacities of partners, relevant capacity building, or dynamic, or very authentic or very relevant capacity building, depending on the people or the partners that we have in play. And that allows strengthening of those systems so that we are able to strengthen a certain system because that is the need that they have. We don't have to put a program right on the table and say that this is what we want. No, but we will build capacities of communities depending on the need that they have. And that is the change that CDSC for IRB brings to the communities, it brings to the table. I know maybe I might not have explained this whole CDSC in a very, maybe not dilute language. And maybe I would like to give room for you to ask the questions so that I get to understand how well you have understood the CDSC for IRB approach that we are using as an innovation or as an approach to youth resilience and belonging in Kenya. Maybe anyone can ask a question, then I'll be able to answer.
Thank you, Karen. We are going to have a session for question and answers, which the participants will be asking you questions on your innovation that you have pitched. Are you done?
Thanks, Brenda. Thank you for that. I think I am done. Maybe the last slide, which is on the successes that this approach has given us. We have seen real youth development in terms of Kajiado and Makueni, and this we take pride in because we have worked since 2022. We have worked with communities and youth who have really grown into resilience within the 3 counties. We have seen community-driven resilience, like communities taking charge of development within Machakos, Makueni, and Kajiado. We have also seen gender inclusion in planning and implementation in Kajiado, especially because gender inclusion in Kajiado, when we started, it was a 0. But there is some small twist, which we won't say it's much, but we have tried to see some change in how gender inclusion in planning and implementation is coming up in Kajiado. We have also seen the collaboration in community-driven we have also seen the collaboration in community-driven resilience initiatives in Makueni and Kajiado, and that is very, very, very key, or it comes to, it really touches our hearts that we have communities collaborating to just bring change that they need in a community. So those are some of the successes that we've had to, we have been able to achieve with this approach, and we hope that not just us in Makueni, Kajiado, and Machakos are going to adopt that, but guys across the country, across the continent, across the region will be able to adopt this, just to see the successes, especially for youth, because unless we are on the table, unless our needs are brought to the table, we might not really be able to see the change that we really perceive. So thank you very much. Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you, Karen. That was a wonderful presentation, and I believe all of us have taken some notes, and you have seen how young people are driving change in the climate and gender space. We can do it, young people, and Karen has proven that one. You have seen the 3 counties they have done the project, and she's giving us what they have done. I'm so happy that you have not even mentioned the challenges that you have faced, meaning that you're already in the space. You are given the opportunity. You were supported. I don't know if you had enough resources, because I know resources is an issue. Karen has mentioned about the capacity building that as an organization they have gone through, and the collaboration they have also worked with together with the community, meaning that the community has been receptive to them. As young people, there is no power imbalance now. A young person can stand in front of the community and speak and bring change and tell the community this is what we want. And that is the change that we want in the gender and climate justice space. Thank you, Karen. And we are going to have a question and answer session at the end of our next panelist, who is Bridget from Uganda. After she speaks, after she pitches her idea, we will have a question and answer where participants, we are requesting you to ask questions, which Bridget and Karen will be able to respond to you. Welcome, Bridget.
Oh. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Brenda, for this opportunity. And I'd also like to appreciate Lightup Impacts for such an innovation to give opportunities to young people to present their impacts in their specific communities and how their work cuts across both gender and climate and how best they can support it. You pardon the noises around because I had to look for a stable place that has internet. My name is Bridget Chigambo, and I work with Girl Potential Care Center, a member organization in the Lightup Impacts community. And I also work as a team lead in various initiatives that I'll be sharing. To probably dive deep in the discussions that we have specifically for today, one of the things that I normally see as a grassroots leader of an NGO or a community-based organization, one of it is I'll have to share this with experiences that I go through as an organization leader, because the period when I started the organization, I was still in school in Fort Poto, that is Uganda. And mostly I was solving problems that I also experience, ranging from inaccessibility to factual or friendly sexual reproductive health and rights information, or probably the piling of plastic waste, or the inability for young people to access jobs in our communities, especially in Uganda. I started the initiative as a student. I saw two things that were quite pressing. Let's say, for example, plastic waste choking our streams, and then girls dropping out of school because of lack of sexual reproductive health and rights information, but also access to basic needs. We looked at the area where we were looking for opportunities to solve problems that we ourselves go through. This communicates that as young people, we don't just see gaps from the outside point of view, but we actually come in to solve problems that we also face firsthand and experience quickly. And in most cases, I would love to say that as young people, we have the resilience, but also the grit to solve problems with new ideas and also innovation. I believe that why youth-led voices are normally overlooked. Hi, Brenda. It would make sense if you, because I may not follow the flow of the slides, and probably because I want to speak from experience.
All right, thank you, Bridget. We will give you the opportunity to speak without the slides. But for the other participants who are joining, I think they would love to also follow through. But since you want to tell your story, we will give you that opportunity. The young people, if they ask, we give them what they want. We cannot deny you what you have requested. So kindly stop projecting so that we don't confuse Bridget. Welcome, Bridget, again. You can go on.
All right, thank you very much. In my experience, I would say I realized that most of the funding structures favor big organizations. For example, the number of times we have pitched our ideas to organizations to support our work, they would really ask for diverse or huge criteria. Let's say, for example, submit audits. Do you have staff and structures? Or simply, do you have a 5-year strategic plan? And in most cases, organizations like ours are normally at a small level, and sometimes you find that you've not really passed the criteria that you have been given. And another scenario, or probably another challenge as to why young people are normally overlooked in areas of support, sometimes they see us as a potential risk, because organizations assume, or supporters assume, let's say, for example, turning waste into product. How many people would be willing to pay for this? How sustainable is this initiative? Are you going to be very dependent on a donor fund, or are you going to be able to bring in your own income, or have a revenue model that will sustain the business? And in most cases, other initiatives may look at your presentation, or probably as at your initiative as a hobby that you're doing to pass time. And most cases, let's say, for example, in areas where you have to attend, for example, a conference, it's quite different with our Lightup impact conferences, but you may find other big conferences, they do invitations for applications, and then you have a huge number who are applying. And then the access barriers, most conferences may happen probably in Nairobi or in Kampala, let's say, for Ugandans. And then young people have to invest in themselves to travel to actually access. So the access barriers also hinder or cause one of the reasons why young people are overlooked in these spaces of capacity building and sustainability in an organization. And I believe as young people, the best way we can amplify our work is to do it ourselves, first of all, through storytelling. And it's a good thing that we are in an era of digital platforms where you can use probably social media platforms that are for free, or if you can really afford a website, that would be nice for the work that you do. And the documentation that you do, in most cases, grassroots organizations like to amplify their work according to activity-based, and yet in most cases, organizations would want to support impact-based kind of reporting. So I would really encourage youth leaders or grassroots NGO leaders like us to actively tell their stories, but on an impact-based reporting. And also, I would encourage us to do co-creation. Let's say, for example, we have one of our projects that we do in Girl Potential Care Center, where we share sexual reproductive health and rights information, but we use comics or cartoons, which we co-create with the specific young people in the community or even schools to produce these pieces that we put out there. If, let's say, we notice that one of the main reasons why probably we have high rates of teenage pregnancies, and then, of course, most of the beneficiaries or victims of these problems will tell you probably hospitals are very hostile. If I get a problem, I can't speak to my parent, I can't speak to an elder or a school because of the stigma that is surrounding it. So us sharing simplified sexual reproductive information in comics, highlighting the fact that young people don't like to read so much. Okay, that's a bad one. Yeah, we don't like to read so much. So simplifying the IEC materials that we put out there enables us to contribute to easy access to information and services, but also to reduce the number of teenage pregnancies in the community. And I would say as young people at the same time who are organization leaders, we can contribute or we can participate in micro mentoring sessions. Let's say, for example, in an organization, there is that specific structure that we normally have. You have to have a secretariat and a board. It would make sense for an organization or an organization leader to look out for community individuals, influencers, or probably stakeholders. Let's say, for example, in an area of social and cultural norms, you can add an elder to your board who will also contribute to amplifying your advocacy work, but also getting the community buy-in for the work that you do. So in this specific slide is for me to highlight the need of documenting your work and using the free opportunities that are out there, which is social media, and also partnering with both the older generations and your generations and even younger to simplify how you disseminate your work or implement your projects in the organization. And one of the other things I would like to highlight, probably this could go to our funders, our stakeholders, policymakers, and let's say consortiums that are out there that are looking to work with young people. I'd like to remind you, or probably if you do not know, that young people, we are very flexible, we are very innovative, and we are ready to work with you. But we are also requesting for flexibility in how you structure your plans and planning. Include us in all the activities that you do, not at the last level when you're bringing it, but right from the start, right from planning, right from designing the programs, and also implementing. Including us means that you value our input and what we bring to your tables. And I would also encourage stakeholders here to not only offer funding, because I know we want the funding, but in most cases offering platforms that highlight probably our work, but also highlight the potentials that we have, enables us to work with more and more people out there. I recommend the last speaker who talked about the importance of capacity building and what it does for grassroots organizations. And I would also want to emphasize on that specific submission, because it does not leave us the same. It grows us as individuals, but also as organizations that you would still want to work with in future. And I'd also look at the area of what you can do differently. For example, if you find an organization that has no space, you can probably encourage in-kind support, like let's say, give us, for lack of a better word, give us a collective space. What's the word? I'm sorry, I've missed the word, but it's like a collective space where young people can come and do their work and then leave. And probably when they have funders or investors who would want to work with them, they have a specific location where they can find them. I would want to close with the fact that as youth or as young people in our communities, we are really ready to solve the gender and climate injustices in our community, because we actually face these specific problems ourselves before even the community, before these specific problems go inside the communities that we see out there. We also need to be trusted, but also be given flexibility support, so that you have to meet us where we are, so that we can also produce or bring value to the campaigns or advocacy work that you do. I think, Brenda, now you can share the slides, if that's okay, if I still have time. I'm not sure.
Thank you, Bridget. I think our time is really not on our end. I will really wish to give you more time, but the time that has remained is for us to have question and answers session, which now we are going to engage our participants. And just to put a rejoinder on what you have mentioned, I think young people, we are at a point of now, we are not doing activism, we are not shouting, we have calmed down. We want you to support us. We are advocates. Yes, we want change. But how most of us have been received in the space of gender and climate justice, it's like we are coming to fight. We are not coming to fight. What you are requesting is, let's share let's do co-leadership. We are past the inclusion. Yes, young people are on the table, but what are we doing? Are we being given chance to decide or also contribute in the existing policies, or we are just coming there as participants just to fill the space? So Bridget, thank you very much for your submission. I know our issues are so many. We do not have funding. We are doing things on volunteer basis. We are joyriding on other programs that are existing with a little inclusion of young people, but we are requesting to be included. We want to take part from the beginning of development of projects that are going to bring change in the community. Youth is just a title, but there are so many of us, minority of us, the PWDs, that their needs also have to be considered. The youths who are in the rural areas, the informal ones, the ones in the urban areas. So that is our call that we are requesting from funders and even partners who can access a lot of funding that can support the youth-led organizations. She has mentioned of our capacity. We acknowledge, we also, we are open here to be supported in terms of organizational development and system strengthening. Help us to have the systems that you want so that we can have funding the same as you. So I will give the participants opportunity to ask questions, and our lovely panelists, that is Bridget and Karen, will be able to respond. I will only take 3 questions because of time, so that we can have the next panel. Anybody who has a question or a reaction towards what our young people have presented, kindly raise your hand, and you can have the opportunity to ask a question, which the panel will respond to you. Is there anybody who has raised their hand or a question in the chat box? Victor, you can help me to look around, or the technical team.
Yes, let's
Is there
look
a
around
question?
and see.
Alright.
Let's hope that Mutile or Shiro can see any questions and then bring them to the fore. But if you permit me, I'll ask one question to Bridget. She seems to be a very busy, industrious lady. You have so many things, so many balls juggling around. So my question would be, between the green Shiro and the girl potential, they seem a little bit different. How do you balance those two approaches? Or are the approaches to both businesses the same, or are they different? If they're different, then how do you balance those two?
Thank you very much, Victor, for the question. So initially, Green Shiro was a project within Girl Potential Care Center. It was a specific project where we encourage communities to do waste segregation and all that. But then we changed it into a social enterprise to help our organization in a way of bringing in money. But then we actually balance it in a way that, because Green Shiro is now the hot cake of the community, I'm sure you know the funding trends are now into green economies and climate change initiatives. So running it as a social enterprise enables us to still run it as a business, so that the money that comes through, then profits can be taken back to Girl Potential Care Center to implement specific projects. But I also don't do this work alone. I work with very many young people. I work with over 158 young people, both waste collectors, informal waste workers, women weavers, and most of our work is to encourage communities to be the main participants and producers. And then that's how we manage to both do the NGO work and then the social enterprise. I hope that answers you.
Victor,
Yes,
were you answered?
I'm happy with the answers. Yes.
Thank you. Just maybe I will also ask a question, because I'm not seeing questions in the chat box, and there's no one who has also raised his or her hand or their hands. So maybe to Bridget, I understand young people, we have a lot of energy, and we have been talking of what is not happening and all about tokenism that young people have been getting, seeing the same some organization or some institution using the same young people in the same forums, because they are, let's say, they can speak well, they are outgoing, but there are some who are not even given the opportunity. Rather, there are some who are looking for the opportunities, but they're not getting. I've seen you have so many titles, you have volunteered in so many places, which I believe it's what most young people are complaining of being used, but they don't want to remain in one space. Like, they don't want to be identified with one thing. They want to be climate, gender, SRH. They want to be in the, the education sector. Maybe what can you tell young people? What should they do? Because I understand for you, you have volunteered in so many spaces, because if we look at your bio, you have so many titles there, awards you have gotten. What advice can you give the young people? What should they do so that they can remain relevant, so that if they are going to look for jobs, they will get the jobs, and not a notion of being Gen Zs and them not being working? Yeah. Bridget.
I'm sorry, we can't see the
Thank
screen.
you, Brenda, for, yes, Abu, is Abu speaking?
Anybody else to join?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the question, and apologies for what has happened. So I'll just maybe shoot right through to the question. Currently working for the Africa Center for Health, Climate and Gender Justice. It's an organization as well as an alliance. And yes, it's a mouthful, but that's because when we wanted to register, it took us quite a long time, and getting the approved name also took a long time. But that notwithstanding, our focus is really on the intersectionality of climate, health, and gender. And we do our best to ensure that young people's voices are inculcated in the climate discussion. Maybe just to answer your question is that climate change affects everyone, and unfortunately it affects young people disproportionate in comparison to people who are well settled in their career and they have money. And this is because if you recall last year when we had the flash floods in Kenya, even the young people who are engaged in income generating activities, some of their businesses were wiped away. And giving them that agency, even as Karen was talking, I feel that it is very quintessential, just acknowledging that they have a solution to offer, but ensuring that they are part of their policies and their discussions. So in Kenya, we normally have something known as the National Determined Contribution. And I feel that everyone who is interested in this and Kenya's position should be engaged, because that is the only time you can give views on Kenya's position and how you can also contribute to Kenya's position on towards UNFCCC. Again, there are also other alliances that are cross-cutting, not just in Kenya, but globally, that you can go online and learn courses, because in the climate world, there are a lot of acronyms. And if you're not acquainted to them, you might really yet they affect you. I'm happy to advance this discussion a little bit more as we wait for people to come. But please feel free to come back in case maybe my answers were not very clear.
No. Thank you. Thank you, Imali. I can see Brenda is back. So Brenda, I'll hand it back to you. I was just trying to keep the conversation going by asking a question to Imali, which she's responded. But if you can take it away, I think we are still, I don't know how we're doing for time. Somebody, Jennifer, I don't know how we're doing for time. Do we continue or do we call our panelist? And in response to that, I think Brenda can take over.
Where is it? Okay. Thank you, Victor. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm so sorry for what happened. It happens at times, but let's not normalizing it. The technical team should put measures just to ensure that such things never happen, because I understand there are some people who have already been traumatized, and we are so sorry for that, and we hope it's not going to happen any other time. So is Bridget back? Bridget, are you back? Karen?
Yes, I'm here.
That is Karen.
Yes, this is Karen.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe you will just bring up to light, because I'm a young person and I love listening to our problems. And I'm happy that we are not talking about problems now. We are already in the solution stage as young people. So maybe you can tell other young people, what have you been doing that you have remained relevant? You have even gotten some funding or support. What can they do? Because I know every young person is really struggling out here. We have ideas, but our ideas are in the shelves. Our ideas have not been appreciated. We have not been called change makers, and they want to be called change makers. What do they do? Because as I said earlier on, we are not coming with a force. We are not demanding as we used to demand. We are asking to be in the space, to be put as co-leaders, even in the decision making. we are not fighting for a space that we know tomorrow is ours as young people. So kindly let other young people know what can they do, because I've seen from what you have presented, meaning that you went down and you listened and you're following the path of those who have done it. Welcome, Karen.
So thank you for that, Brenda. Maybe to just put it in black and white, manzeni kujituma, tujitume, guy, tujitume, why, aki tujitume. Okay, for anyone who doesn't understand this, is let's put our foot forward. Like it doesn't come easy, but then if you already have your plan all worked out and you have put out your whatever they call strategic plans, and you have your thing and your goals all aligned, then why not go for that thing you want to go for, and you'll definitely achieve it. I know it's cliche to say that, but imagine you just need to just put your foot forward. Because if I can remember my very first days when we were looking for funding for any of the projects, we really desperately looked for anyone who would buy our ideas, and sometimes we carved to actually align with what a donor wanted, but it was not long lasting. It wouldn't last long because we would struggle so much. But if you put your idea on the table and maybe you allow that small twitching or working or a small alignment to mwenye pesa, then it gives you an idea of what you really can do without much struggle. Because struggling much, I mean, there's a lot that we can do. There are a lot of community issues. There's so many socioeconomic issues in the counties, in where we live in, and all that. But it also needs you to put out what you're really good at. Don't struggle. Don't allow that struggle. Yeah, I want to do SRH because that is what is in the market so much, or I want to do climate resilience because that is what is selling out, or I want to do gender justice because gender justice is what is selling out. But are you really good at it? Are you really very confident in do you even understand what is climate resilience, for example, so that you engage in an area that you really relate with and you won't really struggle to do? Because I understand that young people really get bored very fast, and sometimes if we decide to go out for maybe place a call because this is what is really the wave within the space, then we lose ourselves in the process. But I would really encourage, or I'd really urge us to just engage in calls that we really relate with, and we engage in areas or conversations that we are also conversant with, so that we don't struggle. Imagine you don't have to struggle to fit in. Imagine you don't, but then it's also key that you just engage in a space, in a workforce, in an environment, in conversations that you're conversant with, so that you don't struggle. Imagine. I think that really helped me a lot with the journey to where we are at. Even as a cluster, we are 7 organizations that are funded by Firelight Foundation, but and all 7 of us do something that is very we are okay doing it. We are good with climate because that's where we live. I mean, Makweni, come on. Who wouldn't want to engage in climate na umechapwa na jua yote?
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen. That was so powerful. And thank you for sharing that to other young people. You need to be strategic. You need to know what you want. Don't be everywhere, because when you have an opportunity, opportunity always comes once. And if you are you only have one thing that is chasing. I know we as young people, we want to do so many things at the same time. But as Karen has said, have one thing that we need to know about you. What do we need to know about Imali? What is good from Imali that people can even refer? Or is it we want somebody to come and fill a name in a meeting of young people who can speak? So we want to see something unique from you. You need to be in one thematic area or several that we are able to know. So Winnie Addison from Ghana has a question from the chat box. And she thanks us for the insightful session, and she will be asking a question to the presenters, which is Bridget and Karen. I don't know if Bridget is around. She's saying, looking at the cultural and geographic barriers we face on the African continent, how have you both capitalized on remote engagements, including volunteering throughout your work in youth and climate resilience, to engage on the continental level without traveling or going outside of your countries, so that some of us can also pick some? Karen, you can respond to that if Bridget is not around. I'm not able to see if she's back. Karen?
I think there is so much to do within our own continents, within our own countries, that, like, I am in Kenya, for example, and there's so much to do within Makueni that I wouldn't want to move elsewhere. So I would maybe advise you look into the space where you live or the environment, and just find that one thing that is yet to be sorted and go sort it out. That will be my take on that question. But again, also looking at what is not really relevant, what is really pressuring, or where the pressure lies. I think you can find a way of just sorting that one thing that is on the edge within the area where you are at. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Bridget, welcome. I've seen you raising your hand. Can you kindly respond to Winnie or put a rejoinder on what Karen has presented? We lost you again. Okay. I'll be able to respond to that also because I'm a young person and in the space, on what we have been able to do, leveraging on the digital access. We have the virtual, like what we are doing now, we're able to connect even without convening a physical meeting. We have leveraged on that for the longest time, sharing ideas with other young people without traveling, because I understand we do not have funding. Some of us reach out to organizations to support us for logistic, but we never get them to attend big events where our voices can be heard. But that does not limit us from presenting our issues, our ideas, and our call to action that as young people want to be done, especially in the Africa grassroots level, in our grassroots level. So leverage on that, be online. This is our powerful tool as young people. If you see something that you need to contribute, kindly put your name there, put your idea there, and it will be heard. Thank you. So I will go to our next panel. I know we have taken so much time because of what we were going through. I think okay. Thank you, Winnie. And we will connect more even beyond here for Bridget to respond, to also hear from what she has. Okay, we will go to our next panel discussion, which we'll be having Tabitha Nyambura, who is coming from NGEK, National Gender and Equality Commission in Kenya. We also have Judy Manene, who is from CRU, and we have Imali Ngusale. Imali Ngusale is from I think I lost the initial of our organization in full, and you'll pardon me for that. Thank you, Victor.
It's Africa Center for Health, Climate, and Gender Justice.
Thank you very much, Victor. So welcome, Tabitha. Tabitha will be our first panel, and I have some questions for her. And we respect so much the National Gender and Equality Commission. We also thank you for engaging young people, because for our commission to accept young people, for us to sit down with you in your boardrooms, which was something that before we were fearing as young people, we will just make noise, but you open the door for us, you listen to us. Our agendas are your agenda as a commission. So I would love you to respond to this question that us young people have. We want to listen from the commission. From a policy perspective in Kenya, what prevents youth-led gender and climate justice solutions from influencing decision-making? Welcome, Tabitha.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. So allow me first to appreciate this opportunity as individually and also as from the Gender Commission. We are really grateful for the opportunity to engage with young people. And I'm happy because I'm heading the Youth and Children division at the Commission. And so any opportunity I get to either speak on the issues of young people or open platforms for them, then I'm grateful to be part and parcel. So based on the question that you've asked, my thinking is that you find sometimes there are fragmented engagement spaces for the young people. Not so many young people are, you'd find them organized or in certain structures that you can be able to formally engage them. And so the entry point becomes a bit fragile, especially towards the contribution of the issues of the young people to the policy making. And of course, you find that then consultations are often ad hoc, or they are county specific, or they are, you know, when someone has something that they want to ask or want to explore, that is the only time that they will think about the young people. But it will be very important that the young people are well organized, they are well structured, and that is what for the commission we've been trying to do, even having committees or caucus that then brings the young people together, so that if there is anything that we want reviewed, like for instance, it's a draft bill, or it's a bill that is being reviewed, or it's, you know, a law that is being reviewed in relation to any topical issue, then you are able to quickly bring the young people on board. Then you find that when there are fragmented engagements, then policies risk overlooking the locally driven gender climate solutions, such as the youth-led clean energy enterprises. And yeah, so the other thing would be resource and capacity constraints, where you find that the youth-led organizations often have great innovation. Like we've seen some young people coming together and having a solar powered education, or, you know, starting a project on menstrual hygiene campaigns, but then they lack funding, and sometimes they lack data. And also sometimes you find they're lacking technical support. And this then affects how they would present their ideas in a policy dialogue. For example, you find that the young people have started an initiative, and probably that initiative, for it to get funded, they need to carry out a feasibility assessment, for instance, and they don't have the money. And so when you present such a project without the requirement, even to the donors, then it is rejected. And maybe lastly is on participation. If we don't really provide a well thought through opportunity in terms of participation, and I have had this also from the previous panelists, is that you'll find then it will be a tokenistic participation, where you only bring the young people in forums, or for them to come and launch maybe a certain program or a publication, but then they are excluded when it comes to actual decision making platform or opportunities, or even when budgets are being discussed. So for instance, I can give an example. We have processes as a country and I know it is also taking place in other countries, like we are headed towards the Conference of Parties in November. In November, I think from that, I think it will be in Brazil. And so every country is preparing towards the COP30. And you might find that if we are not careful, then the young people will be left out or during the planning processes. And that is where they would be able to air out or articulate their issues. And then when it comes to the actual negotiations in those COP meetings, then you find that the young people probably are not at the forefront. They have not been given that opportunity at the forefront. And so then it becomes very hard for the young people then to air their issues at the policy level, or something that would get even towards a policy decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tabitha. That was short and precise. And I believe the young people have had there's opportunities at the commission. Their problem is, how do they get to the commission? How do they reach out to you? Yes, they see in your website, you have telephone numbers, you have emails. But our notion is always our questions will never be answered, because young people's issues are non-issues. They're always said to be put in the wardrobe, they will be discussed tomorrow. So I believe young people have had, and they're going to have questions. My question is, how are they going to get to the commission? Yes, these sittings that you have, these opportunities that you have in the various counties, because I believe you have representation in all the counties in Kenya, and if not the counties you have in regions. How can the young people be connected to the commission, so that whatever you are mentioning here about the high level meetings, how can they also submit what they're experiencing? Because we want lived experience from young people in Kenya, and not just a section of young people who are called sit down, present what they have, yet the voice of the voiceless is not included. Thank you, Tabitha, and we'll be waiting for some questions from the participants. Our next panelist, who is Judy Manene from Center for Rights, Education and Awareness, commonly known as CRU. Some of us have been beneficiaries of their great support. They have been champions of our young people engagement. They have supported young people with funds to do initiatives in their own capacity. Even those organizations that have not been registered, they have helped organizations to even develop their structures, which I'm one of them, and I'm proud of the organization and so many young people that cannot speak here. I have some questions for you. Kindly confirm, Judy, that you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Brenda.
Thank you, Judy. So my question is, youth-led innovations in gender and climate justice often remain underrepresented in decision-making spaces. From your experience, how can youth representatives and platforms like CRU ensure that grassroots youth solutions influence national, regional, and international policy and funding agendas?
Thank you very much for that question, and thank you for the platform to share my experience with working with young people in the intersection of gender and climate justice. As you have rightly put it, young people and their innovations often miss out on funding and are underrepresented in decision-making spaces. However, as an organization, we are working with young people, and I can say that we see the value of bringing young people in our spaces, having them meaningfully engaged. And so as I share, I am sharing from our experience on how we have managed to bring young people on board and make sure that their voices are heard and that their innovations are influencing policy agenda, both nationally, regionally, and regionally. So one of the things that we have seen work with the young people's initiatives is that as an organization, we work directly with community organizations, CBOs, women rights organizations at the grassroots. And you find that in those places, there are very many youth-led organizations or youth-led initiatives, and they understand the challenges directly, the challenges that the people are facing at the community level. And so working with them, we have been able to identify the challenges and bring forth and even attract funding. So one of the things that can really work with to bring their initiatives to the forefront is directly working with them, because we believe that it is the community that understands their problems the best, and they are the best also to come up with initiatives that solve their problems. One of the things that we are keen on is identifying which organizations are at the community level and understand the problems or the challenges that the community is facing. And therefore, together, we are able to craft solutions for the community. So directly identifying and working with them. And not just as volunteers, as I have heard some of the speakers talk about volunteering and, tokenism. Here we have to make sure that we have meaningful engagement with these youth-led initiatives. Meaningful in terms of when you are designing your programs, you involve them right from the start, co-create, and then sometimes we even fundraise together so that they are right at the core of the implementation and they're not just, trophies to be paraded, for lack of a better word. But when you work with them directly, you are able to ensure that their voices are heard and what they are doing is shaping policy and funding agenda. For you to work with those grassroots organizations, most of the time you find that they will have no structures and also they have no funding. And therefore, subgranting becomes very important and a very powerful tool of engaging with them and bringing them to the forefront. And so we do have them also develop their own concepts, and we give them sub-grants to implement those particular initiatives that they have designed. And that has worked well and enabled them to get even better. Now, for that to work, because they do not have proper structures most of the time, then that has to go hand in hand with institutional strengthening. And that is about working with them to identify the areas that they need support on in terms of organizational management and structure-wise. So we ordinarily would conduct an organizational capacity assessment and then develop a capacity improvement plan for the organization and then drive the development of the different structures, be they policies, whatever it is that is lacking, from structures to policies and everything in between. And that makes them findable and fundable, because once the structures are in place and they have a voice, then other funders also begin to notice them. Something else that we have seen work is the issuing of multi-year grants. You find that most of the youth initiatives get a one-off grant and they implement an initiative, and beyond that, then they have no resources to continue. So working with them for the long term helps to build their capacities and to build their visibility so that they are creating a change in the community where they live and even beyond. Something else that we have seen work is appointment and meaningful engagement of young people in advisory boards. So when we develop programs, then we have representation of young people as a board, as an advisory board. And these people, rather this board will be a sounding board during ideation and design. So even when you're not co-creating with them, then you have a sounding board that tells you, no, this approach will not work for the young people. Rather, this other one will work for us. And therefore, we are able to curate programs that that are beneficial to young people, that are also attractive to them, and keep them going, and also help them to grow their agency and their voice. At the same time, we keep that advisory board from the ideation point through the implementation. And at that point, during the implementation, they become a very powerful feedback loop, because they keep us informed on what the young people or the community feel about what we are doing and what we need to iterate in our implementation. Something else that is also very powerful is highlighting the stories of their successes. So you have worked with them, and as a larger organization, you have the platform, you have the following, you have the hearing of the funders. So we do identify the youth-led organizations that are excelling, and we highlight their successes. And that way you will find that it is easy for them to be spotted by other funders beyond our space, and they are engaged directly. And then also, whenever you have, alliances or groupings that are moving together for a cause, we also do ensure that we have youth-led initiatives in those alliances, and we co-create policy briefs or funding proposals or whatever it is that we are working on. We ensure that we have the presentation of youth-led initiatives. So that, among many others, is what we do, and we have seen that work in ensuring that the voices of young people are heard, and they're not just heard, that what they do is useful in driving the change that we so desire to see. And something else, before I forget it, is providing meaningful feedback on what they are doing. For example, when they give us ideas and we take on those ideas and we implement them, then ensuring that they are receiving feedback from us, that this, you told us to do this, this is what we did, this is how we did it, and these are the results. And that also gives them the confidence that they are meaningfully engaged and they are more willing to work with us. So thank you very much. And I can take more questions. There is a lot more, but for now, those are what I wish to share. But maybe for just to encourage the young people is sharpen your skills and build meaningful networks. That is where you will get noticed, and that is where you also receive funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha. We are grateful to CRU, and we hope that you're going to support so many other young people, as the organization is centered on youth needs. So show the young people the way, help them to get more funding and strengthen their system also. So our next panel, who is Imali Ngusale, and she has lived her life youthfully. If you ask her now, she'll tell you she's a youth. And she's from the African Center for Health, Climate and Gender Justice Alliance. Let's hear from her. From your perspective, Imali, at the intersection of health, climate, and gender justice, what forms of collaboration and support are most critical to strengthen youth-led grassroots solutions?
Okay, thank you so much, Brenda, for that question. And yes, I have lived as a youth. I think in some countries I'm considered as a youth. But for me, I think once I clocked 30, I stopped hogging the youthful space. And I must admit that everything that Tabitha and Judy have mentioned is very critical, because if you want people also to recognize you as someone who has data and volume, you also have to read and make sure that you show up prepared. So maybe I can just start off, because I realize that sometimes when you talk about climate change, there's always an assumption that people understand actually what it is. So climate change happens when the weather patterns have been altered after 3 decades. And I think now, if you read the news, if you've just been observing, you'll notice that it's no longer taking 3 decades for climate change to actually be altered. It's taking slightly longer. And that's because of the greenhouse gas emission. And of course, most of this is contribution of global north rather. And these are basically the countries that are classified as the big emitters by many researchers, including the United Nations Framework for Climate Change Convention. Having said that, at the nexus of health, climate, and gender justice, there needs to be a critical strengthening of youth, particularly in just understanding what has happened before and how they can engage. It is a complex issue, but it also something that I think when you take time to read, you'll understand, and you might actually be a bigger expert than all of us. Because there was a Stanford University study that was done, and it says that if you take 10 minutes every day to read something that you're really interested about, after 1 year, you're going to be an expert, whether you graduate in Harvard or Yale or whichever university. And that means that Kenyans should love reading, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Believe you me, you can read for 10 minutes and then scroll all the way to Instagram the whole day if you like. Having said that, youth can benefit a lot in the climate change space by first and foremost being curious, because as I was trying to explain after recovering from what had happened was climate change is very vast. So what exactly are you interested in? Are you interested in the global the GST? Are you interested in the NCQG? Sorry, I'm going to use these acronyms and then I'm going to explain them fully. Are you interested in maybe just the COP itself? Are you interested in the NDC? You know, I'm using all these terms because when you go to COP, that is exactly what will happen. So let me take you slowly and quickly answer your question. The first is the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change. Nowadays, we are lucky because there are online courses that you can take, and this can help you fast track your understanding. The COP is basically what Tabitha was saying, the Conference of Parties, and this time it's going to be Belém in Brazil. And unfortunately, I went for the pre-conference in Brasilia this year, and it's actually very expensive to participate in COP 30 this year. We're just hoping that the Brazilian government will allow young people, because as it is very expensive for even one individual. Many organizations and coalitions that you're working with were even wrote to the presidency in Brazil to reduce the cost so that young people can engage in. In the past COPs, I've had the privilege of being in the previous COP in Baku, the one in Dubai, the one in Sharm el-Sheikh, and the one in Glasgow, though the one in Glasgow I did attend virtually. And I can tell you that it is the time when young people's voices need to be put in place. But how can they be inculcated? Before you go to big COP, you have to understand what is happening nationally. I was attempting to talk about the national determined contributions, and this is basically the contributions, the country plans that show how the country is working to reduce emissions and adapt to climate change. And this is actually something that you're supposed to submit according to the Paris Agreement, which I think if you go online, you'll be able to see that Kenya has been very keen on submitting the NDC. In fact, for us, we've been very ambitious and we've been able to submit it on time. This notwithstanding, there is something now called the NCQGs. This term was very heavy last year in Baku. This basically means the new collective quantified goal on climate finance. And that is because, as I mentioned to you, the global north, it is proven that the global north are the ones that pollute the environment more than the global south. In fact, if you look at even the initiative that Karen was talking about, and even the ones that there's this lady who was saying Kujituma, sorry, I forgot your name, was talking about, you'll discover that indeed global south is doing its best to reduce the emissions, but it's not being funded well enough, and that's the political bit. This is why youth voices need to be engaged in, especially in the periodic review of the Paris Agreement, to assess how the world is doing vis-a-vis the global goals, and shout out loud to the mainstream media. And this is now what I was talking about, the GST, the global stocktake. So not to bombard you with so many acronyms, it is time that young people, especially especially in Kenya, go out and even write a letter to the UNFCCC and ask how can young people be engaged? Because you can imagine a decision is going to be made this year without you. Of course, you have to do it respectfully. Remember, this is not Mapambano and that is not your land. So you want to be in a position whereby you can air your voice, be heard, and then be noticed, so that in the next year's COP, which is going to be COP 31 in Australia, you'll not only be there, but you'll be the person of the center of attention. The other thing I want to really commend Manen, Judy, because I was listening to her and she was saying that they normally prioritize on young people. Kudos to that. But there is something called bankable solutions, to which I feel the Global North youth-led initiatives are funded more than the Global South. I've seen many young people in COP always walking away with big checks, but that's because most of them have taken time, they've been taught, they've learned, they've unlearned. So what you do, find out organizations that have already been funded, visit them, ask them, hey, tell me about your project. What can I learn? How did you create this project? Who are your ambassadors? Who helped you to do this? You'll discover that in most of these well-funded projects, they actually got the people who went ahead of them in time. Experts like Tabitha Nyambura, experts like Maxi, Eric. Sorry, I'm calling in person because I used to really admire him when I was younger. And other people who've gone ahead of time. They'll be able to tell you the kind of words that are needed, the work plan. And hey, if you don't have all the prerequisites, because I remember there was someone who was saying that they didn't have a work plan, nobody is going to make you feel bad because you didn't have a work plan or a strategic plan. You can always get a bigger organization to rally behind you and even write a letter on your behalf, so that when you're applying for this if you're applying even for small grants, you have somebody to help you. The other thing I must mention, which might sound a little bit controversial, but I'll say it. So the success rate of many initiatives in Global South are a bit abysmal. And by this, I mean that there have been some initiatives which have been funded before, like in the span of 5 years. I won't go and mention which one, but there have been situations where some young people, they got money, and because the organizations didn't have structure, honestly, they ran away with the money, or they did not do what they were meant to do. So what I would advise for young people who, not all young people are the same, there's some who actually have good they made good use of the money. I know some organizations that they did that, but you see sometimes if you get Brenda today, if you get $500 million, you might want to re-examine your lifestyle, in some cases, and you might even want to maybe, you're told, oh, you can use this money, you have something called unmoderated expenditure. That's when you need a big organization that can come in and help you and tell you, hey, you know what, you can use this money in 1 year, or you can stretch this money for 10 years and make ABCD kind of impact. It really depends up to you. So I think we should not look at as young people as a disadvantage. We should look at ourselves as people who can be able to give solutions, people who have what it takes, and then people who are able to learn and also go out there and get that which belongs to them. Thank you, and I yield to you, Brenda, unless there's any question.
Thank you, Mali. That was so powerful, and I believe young people have already noticed. You follow her on her social media, and you'll get so much. You have been told by Imali that you need to identify your space, your place with one thing that you want. Climate space has a lot of components. Where do you belong? Where do you want? Where do you think you fit? The other day I was hearing of carbon. I don't know carbon what, and I'm like, okay, I'm a climate action. That one. You are saying that one. I don't know. But then there are so many young people who are in the space of climate, but we don't know how we even, I don't know how to put it, but where do we belong? Yes, we know that climate is affecting everything. It's intermarrying now with SRH, GBV, but we don't know how to package ourselves. So I'll request you to mentor young people who are interested in the climate action, of which I'm one of them. I've been a senior panelist at the EU, that is the GYM. We have been able to fund some young people, as you said, the Southern Saharan region. It's where we have given so many young people funding. But whatever they're writing in their proposals, I don't know if you are already there, because they'll come with a project of pads. Yes, we are addressing that one. But there are so many things that we have missed, whereby the countries in the I don't know India is in which side, Bangladesh, they're doing things to do with recycling the waste, which is some of the things that young people from Africa should now tap into, and not the obvious, because we look at some applications and we are like, pads, yes, I'm an SRH champion, but we are making the reusable pads, but what materials are we using? We are giving you the money to do that. Is there sustainability? Are there other things that you can do also? I don't mean that we are not supposed to fund that one, but there are so many things in the climate component that young people can tap in, which I would love many of you to go to Imali, be mentored by her, and you'll come and thank me. I'll also be coming for you, Imali, to mentor me. Thank you very much. So my last question to Tabitha, which I'll have to merge two questions because of time, and you'll respond to it in 2 minutes, very fast. And how can GEC help youth-led grassroots? I know you already mentioned what you're doing, but we want you to commit. How can you help us young led grassroots organization to gain visibility and credibility at the local level, national, and the global levels? Because yes, we are doing work, we are posting them, but how can we get linked to NGEC and you also giving us visibility? I know we don't have money, and the perception of you need to have money to engage NGEC, we should not have that one. Kindly commit to us and tell us how can NGEC do to give us visibility, the youth-led organizations. Welcome, Tabitha.
Thank you very much, Brenda. I honestly didn't get the last one where you said the imagination is that you need money to engage GEC. Remember, this is a public body. It's a constitutional commission. So there's nowhere that youth will be required to have money to engage the commission. I think that's a wrong notion. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Tabitha.
Yeah, that has never been the case. So I think I'll just link with what we are doing and what we've been doing for the young people. First, and how we can help the grassroots, especially in the visibility when it comes to the local level, the national and the global level. And this is something that would really be happy to continue doing because we are already doing it. So the first thing is providing platform where youth can showcase innovation. So in the past, what we've done is maybe anytime we have a meeting, whether it's a conference, you'll find that we'll identify a young person, whether we are even launching our strategic plan like we did in June, then we identify young people who will come and speak, and we prepare them on what to speak. And when they are speaking, of course, you can imagine such a meeting has a high level attendance, maybe at the level of the executive, or even at the level of the CS, the PSs, or some donors. So that one then helps the visibility of the young people and the initiatives that they are pursuing be known at a larger scale and even at a higher level. And also we have been negotiating with institutions. Like if we know there's a conference, like I had already talked to the one who was organizing, the executive director of Lightup, and asked and requested that, can I bring some few young people to participate in this conference? And so anytime we see or we have exhibitions and we know an organization is maybe even charging for exhibitions, we negotiate for young people so that probably they can access for free or at a subsidized rate. Then we are also acting as a link of the young people with strategic stakeholders. So I think we are one of the organizations that we've been now linking the young people with even development partners. And how we do that and what even we plan to do in future is because we have coordination meetings that we organize at the commission, either at the national level in our HQ office, and also you'll find in the regional or county level, though we are only in six regions for now. But then what we do is that when we have a youth forum, we cleverly invite the development partners. And so when they are speaking about the initiatives and what they are doing, we are able now to make sure that the development partners and the donors are part of the meeting, and they can be able to pick on who to support or who to work with. Actually trying so much to expose the young people. We've also planning like now to use our platform, our social platforms to market or to advertise some of the initiatives that the young people are doing, because we know probably we have a larger follow-up by interested people, and they might not be able to know what the young people are doing. But maybe if we put the initiatives in our socials, what we are thinking is that we'll be able to create a lot of visibility to the young people and the organizations that are working on issues of the young people. Also integrating youth case studies in plans and in reports. Like if you look at our strategic plan, we have already picked some of the issues that we have received from different organizations that are working on issues of the youth. And we have that informed even how we integrated the youth issues in our strategic plan. And we wrap the same on other strategic plans, like when we were part of the team that was developing the UN Women strategic plan, and we were able to influence that they take up some of the issues the young women are going through, and some of the projects that the young women are going through, so that they would support them. And because we have that platform, and so any other institution, like even the State Department for Gender, when they're developing their strategic plan and we are in that platform, we'll either negotiate to come with the young people on the table, or if there is no that space, then we coordinate and we collate the issues of the young people in a memorandum, and then of course we present the same. Then I think at the global level, it would be easy for us to maybe support the youth applications to platform that would be of help, increasing the exposure on topical issues. We might not be able to support financially for the young people to participate as NGC, but then you find that NGC has a link with development partners. Sometimes we might get donors who only want to support the youth, not even the commissioners or even technical people in the commission, but they want to support the youth. And for us, we would be very quick to throw that to the young people that we are working with. So having this partnership, even with Lightup, then works well for us, because if we get such an opportunity, then we'll be able to share it out. And as someone had mentioned, if someone needs maybe a recommendation and you have been working with the commission, then that shouldn't be an issue. Or if you want to apply for some maybe resources and you want to maybe have commission do a paragraph for you, and maybe you want to do a joint or co-create with the commission, that is most welcome. We've also been building a lot of capacity for the young people, and especially on matters, on topical issues. I can quickly say like what we've done, what Brenda was struggling. I don't know whether she was struggling to say carbon credits. So the young people that we are working with, especially this year, we've been able to train them on carbon credits, matters of GBV, sexual reproductive health. Last month in August, we did peace processes, you know, bringing partners like IGAD on board, just to try to help youth know how the role they can play on peace process. And we were linking this with climate change or climate action. Then matters of digital economy, and also like in this area of climate change, why we were able to train and build the capacity of the young people on what are the priority issues that have been already documented or are already in the national documents, like what Imali was saying. Apart from the NDC, we now have the National Climate Change Action Plan. NCAP 3. When you look at the NCAP 3, and I hope everybody will be able to look at this, anybody who is interested on matters of climate change, you will find that there is a lot of commitments from government. A lot of commitments. Actually, I had listed some of the things that the government has planned to support the young people. I can quote maybe two, like for them to enhance contribution of youth to forestry and wildlife. They have committed to support 5,000 youth-owned tree seedlings nurseries, actually to establish that. And so if you don't have that knowledge, then you'll not be able to engage government. So what we do ourselves as an oversight body is to create this awareness to the youth and also bring on board the duty bearers, like from the Ministry of Environment, and for them, then we link them up so that the young people then can be part of the 5,000. Then I saw another one like having, 5 streams of non-timber forest product developed and implemented by the youth groups, 5 youth-led waste recycling or reusing and upscaling initiatives. So we feel it is very important for us to expose and ensure that the young people are well equipped with knowledge. And once they are equipped with knowledge, then we link them up. What else should I say? Yeah. So also trying to help the young people work with research institutions. And what we've done and what I'm hoping that we'll be able to do even in this space of climate change is that when we find an institution that probably is carrying out research, for us, we are able to negotiate so that if they want research assistance or they want people to help them in data collection, then we link up the youth, because who else should be doing this? It is the young people. And when you do that, maybe you are paid something small and maybe you get an employment out of that engagement. You add the same in your CV and it helps them to even be able to pursue other employment. Then helping them back their stories with data. And we've been helping the young people even. And what we are also planning is to help them have, be able to craft strategies and professional presentations so that even when they are attracting or donors, then they're able to know, how am I supposed to do a proposal or fundraising skills, if it's a policy review, what are those some of the things that I'm required to have for me to undertake a policy review. And I think what I've seen myself is that out of the many engagements that we've had, then you find even they are confident. They are able to present their issues even to policymakers, even at the level of the PS and the CS. They can stand in front and be able to present with a lot of confidence. So I think that is what I would commit, that we'll be able to build a lot of capacity if it's linking the young people with potential partners and strategic partners. We'll be able to do that. If it is co-creating activities together, the Commission would be so much be willing to do that. And of course, also trying to expose what the young people are doing in our socials, so that it's a partnership. As we increase our visibility, we are also able to increase the visibility of the young people. I don't think I've left anything, but yeah, I think I'll leave it at that, because I can also see time is not on our side. Asante.
Tabitha, that was so insightful and powerful. And by me saying about the money, we have always had the narrative or the intention or the perception that if you invite someone from the government, you have to provide for them transport. We even fear to write letters or even emails to you. So that is what I was meaning, and not any other thing in terms of the money thing and the government commission. So if you are open to us sending you invitations, then the young people can do that one, because that was the fear that is in most of us young people, the youth-led organization. and you have clarified that, and we are going to be reaching out. We will be bombarding you with so many emails and invitations. So thank you for clarifying that. And since our time is up and we had so much in place, and due to the technical issue that we had, I'll give us 1 minute or 2 minutes for us to have questions for our panelists. You can use the chat box or you can raise your hand. If you have a question to the panel, use the chat box, and also you can raise your hand for the team to have you ask a question to the panelist. If you don't have any question, I hope you also the names of the panelists. You can reach out to them via their social medias, especially through the LinkedIn. We have Tabitha Nyambura from National Gender and Equality Commission, Judy Manene from CRU, our Center for Rights and Education and Awareness. Ama nimesema vibaya, Judy. Judy, can you correct me?
You got it right, Brenda. Center for Rights, Education and Awareness.
Yes. And then we have Imali, who will be mentoring most of us. I requested her to do that on pro bono basis. If she asks you for something, kindly come back to me. We will go for her through the social media, because she will support most of us. You heard how she's very rich in information, and also she has information on the international engagement that most of us want to get there. We don't want to be at the local level only. Let's go beyond where we are, and we can only do that if we accept to be mentored and if we accept to read. She said we need to read, we need to be informed. Back to you, Victor. It was a wonderful session with the panelists, and I feel like we need to continue, but time is not on my end. Back to you, Victor, to welcome Valeria. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. And yes, my apologies again for the little or major mishap that we had. But at this time, I would like to welcome Valeria from Lightup Impact for this last session of this webinar. Valeria?
Thank you so much, Victor. I'll try to be brief. Hi, everyone. I hope you can all hear me and see me. If you can go to the previous slide, please. So as we're getting to the, oh, I thought there were 2 slides on our side, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. So first of all, allow me to thank Development Dynamics and the whole team for hosting this wonderful last Thursday in partnership with us as a pre-conference online event for the 3rd Lightup Impact Days conference happening in October on the theme Let Youth Lead, Driving Gender and Climate Justice on October 22nd and 23rd. And a big thank you also to our youth spotlight leaders, Karen and Bridget. Thank you so much for your voice. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and for being really honest about the way you see your own work, right, in the community and the challenges. And Brenda, our founder advisory board member, who has done, I think, an outstanding moderation. So Brenda is also leading the logistic organization of the conference together with our team and together with other 7 youth leaders. So I hope that you will be there at the conference to also meet them all again. And of course, last but not least, a big thank you to our panelists, Tabitha from GEC, Imali from the, it's a long name, African Center for Health and Climate and Gender Justice Alliance, and Judy from CRU. So all these youth leaders, all these panelists, they will be at the conference in October. So I hope that we have basically sparked some curiosity on what and how the conference will actually be. So here's to see, for you just to see who will be there. We have partners, we have sponsors, we're all coming together to drive change in gender and climate and youth leadership. And next slide, please. We have already registered over 200, around 200 participants. 93 youth have already registered for the conference. We are basically almost sold out. So the only categories still available on our registration page are the changemaker tickets at 15,000 Kenyan shillings. And we have 5 exhibitor slots remaining. So please scan that QR code, or somebody can paste our website link in the chat about the conference, so you can have more information, and hopefully you can also be part of this great event that is happening in October. That's it on my side. A big thank you to everyone who participated, Development Dynamics, and everyone who is here today, and I hand it back to Victor for the, I guess, closing remarks. Asante.
Thank you very much, Valeria. And maybe before we go, and this is just an opportune time because of the short time that we have, I don't want to keep everybody here longer than I should. I want to welcome our CEO to say hi and goodbye, and make it brief, Maxi. I know that's a challenge, but we live up to the challenge, I guess. You're still on mute, Maxi.
So yeah, I was not allowed to unmute before. Thank you, Valeria and Lightup Impact team for partnering with us on this one. We are looking forward to the actual conference. If this is a sign of what the conference is going to look like, we believe that it will be amazing. We apologize for what we are learning that happened in the course of the recording today, or rather the session that we had today. But we are grateful that you've all stuck through and you rejoined, and we have something good to take forward. We'll be able to share the links, because now they'll end up being 2, the links to this particular recording within the next couple of days. Adios from us. We shall see you again in another Last Thursday edition.
Thank you very much, Maxi. As I said, Valeria, thank you very much. As I said, this is not just a conversation. We are hoping that we have started that big change, that we are going to be involving more youth in everything that we do. So let's not just be full of talk, let us take action. And as the panelists have said, youth, you have to make yourself available. Don't just sit and wait for it, but you must come prepared. Read, have the information, so that if you are called to a policy deliberation, you actually know what you're saying. So thank you very much. And we hope that we shall all see you next month at the conference on the 22nd and the 23rd at Agwil Grand Hotel. It's here in Mombasa. I hear it's a very good hotel, so make a point of being there. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you again in the subsequent Last Thursdays. Thank you very much, and have a blessed evening.